Hello, I'm Amog Matthews, and welcome back to The Timeline. Thank you to everybody who saw the first episode. If you thought it was funny, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. And if you didn't think it was funny, I will definitely be keeping it up for much longer. Let's just dive right in. It's become a bit of a nightmare. No, I'm not referring to 2020, and no, I'm not referring to the show. Who I'm referring to is Jenna Karvanitis, the founder of the Gender Reveal Party. She made that remark in an interview with NPR on the very tradition she started.
Now I'm seeing them and they're burning down forests and exploding cars, bringing alligators into the mix, and it's just become a bit of a nightmare.
So in 2008, before social media let you know how racist your relatives really are, and trust me, anybody, including Indians, can be racist. Not saying that I'm racist. I don't know why I just said that. Karvanitis hosted a small and intimate gathering in Chicago. The party consisted of some pretty basic gender reveal party elements: a cake with icing, the mother, a creative announcement of the gender of the offspring or whatever, the dad, I assume, probably napkins, even the neighborhood pack of white moms who always talk about their kids playing sports. I'm really happy, Kim, that Tristan is doing good in soccer. But frankly, I don't give a shit. What I want to see, though, is the huge cakes and smoke bombs.
Are you counting down for us?
Right above you, Taylor.
So, Karvanitis' original 08 blog post, which got the attention from the local Chicago magazines, solely caught parents' interest, and the rise of social media brought the gender reveal party, like many other things on social media, to a whole new level of unnecessary. What started with a good old-fashioned slice of cake and a plastic fork somehow turned into the inclusion of smoke bombs, gunpowder, giant plastic baby costumes, and even goddamn alligators. Goddamn alligators. We're going to explore the goddamn alligator story now. Okay, so this is the real Florida headline, folks. Screw inmates not voting. Fuck that shit. It's no wonder why people aren't a big fan of Florida. I just hope that Pitbull is safe. Pitbull, stay safe, please. Regardless, it's clear that gender reveal parties have become one of the most internet's dangerous viral trends since like the Tide Pod Challenge or like Gangnam Style. Before addressing the burning elephant in the room, and I'm sure you know where this is going to go, let's talk about gender reveal parties and how dangerous they are to the small, cute, defenseless, life begins at conception, little babies to be. Let's use Karvanitis as an example. Now, if you're an observant viewer or not colorblind, you might have noticed the colors. That's right, pink and blue, my color-seeing friends. The fact that it's an obvious statement points to the issue that is reinforced by these parties. Boys who will become men are generalized by the more masculine color, and girls are pink, the decidedly more feminine one. Even before the child is born, we are already putting them into roles and assuming who they are even before they can think for themselves. Yes, we are very progressive here at the Timeline. Assumptions are never right. Sometimes they are. You know, most Indians do like the taste of cake. Cake? You thought I was going to say curry. Michaela thought I was going to say curry. No. That's right. We love cake. Generalize us, baby. In a BBC interview, the mother of a trans child stated that she hates gender reveal parties because they enforce stereotype boxes. Ironically, one of these children who rejected these gender binary boxes was Karvanitis' own child, whose due date started this whole thing.
She says, you know, she and her and all of that, but you know, she really goes outside, I'd say, gender norm.
So, there's some hope that kids won't get totally brainwashed by the stupidity of their parents. And besides, mental trauma can heal. It's not as if people are actually getting physically hurt, right? I don't know why I'm smiling. That's obviously what's happening.
1, 2, 3.
Oh!
Gosh!
That didn't go well.
That's a YouTube fail.
Holy shit. Never mind. What I like about that video, if you just saw it, is that it's a gender reveal fail, not because the mom got hurt, but I think the gender wasn't even announced, so there was no point in that. And okay, anyway, not only is the youth of America being emotionally traumatized, but parents are just unnecessarily hurting themselves, and for what? The color blue? And get this, and I thought this was hilarious when I first read it. Sometimes at these problematic social events, there are casualties, like people who die. Like a goddamn war. There are goddamn casualties of these things. A grandmother-to-be in Iowa actually ended up dying after being hit in the head by a piece of shrapnel from a homemade pipe bomb. As you can guess, the bomb was supposed to reveal the gender of the expecting mother's child, but instead the investigative team reported on the incident explained that instead of gunpowder shooting powder out of the top of the stand exploded, sending metal pieces flying into little Granny's poor head. That's dark as fuck, folks. That's what happened to Iron Man. The fact that people are quite literally constructing bombs to celebrate the assignment of an unborn baby's human gender is literally terrifying and funny to talk about on a little talk show like this. What's even more terrifying is the fact that this tradition even took down a goddamn plane. Why are these gender reveals all so goddamn terroristy? It's like ISIS or Al-Qaeda or Bush for you conspiracy folks, I hear you. This started this trend. In this party's collective stupidity, this family decided it was a great idea to dump 350 gallons of pink paint out of a low-flying plane. To add on to their fantastic idea, they exceeded their one-passenger occupancy limit. I don't care who you are, folks. You never exceed occupancy limits. That's just a trouble waiting to happen. The aircraft had trouble because, yes, there was more than one passenger, and also 350 gallons of fucking pink paint. Unsurprisingly, they ended up crashing in the middle of a field in Turkey, Texas. Surprisingly, no one was injured. But holy fucking shit, am I right? That's insane. We're not done with the bloody gender reveals for you, folks. A couple of years ago, a group of 20 restaurant goers wanted their gender reveal party to be the second best alternative to Chili's, Applebee's. The group wanted confetti, they got confetti. They wanted chocolate lava cakes, they fucking got chocolate lava cakes. All the Applebee's employees asked for, and they asked for very little, let's be honest, was for the patrons to take the confetti outside and clean it up after. Check out what happens.
Gender reveal party in Boardman leads to a call to police. Officers were called to the Applebee's restaurant Monday night for a fight that broke out between staff and a large group of customers. Yes, the manager says they left a mess behind, and when she asked them to clean it up, a fight broke out and menus were thrown.
And worst of all, their bill was $31.81. That bill didn't even get paid. Now that says to me two things, folks, and my morals are great, trust me. The values of people who actively celebrate gender reveal parties are crazy and borderline radicalized. And two, Applebee's has got some banging prices. To all my friends watching, because you're probably the only ones watching, let's be honest, let's go to Applebee's this weekend. On me. Owen, I know you're watching out there, man. You're bringing the confetti, buddy. Justin, you're bringing the money. I'm impressed with Applebee's. It's definitely above TGI Fridays Unlimited apps to become the best alternative to Chili's. You know what? How about we give Applebee's the first ever Timeline Award for Best Chain Restaurant, second to Chili's. Applebee's, check your mailbox for the award. You should be receiving if we ever get a real budget, which we won't. Sorry about that. Anyway, what the timeline is getting at is that there are plenty of ways to celebrate having a child, but assigning it a gender through terroristy and domestic threatening demonstration of pink and blue ain't it, fam. Promise me, the viewer, that when you have a little baby of your own, hopefully after college, but I know some real dogs at this school, promise me at the end of the day, you'll just buy a non-binary slice of cake from the corner shop, right? Or something, and let your kid grow up in an accepting environment, one without pipe bombs, shrapnel, crashing planes, projectiles, alligators, or Applebee's. Promise me that. So I want to talk about Margot Robbie for a second. Margot Robbie's performance on The Wolf of Wall Street lit a fire in me that's honestly not put out yet. The world isn't perfect, and I know that because I'll never touch Margot Robbie's body. But you know what's worse? The tragic El Dorado wildfires. Such a widespread and catastrophic event has destroyed thousands of acres of land. I'm sorry, I should be laughing. And homes across the western side of the country. But how did these fires begin? Well, you probably knew that already.
Investigators say they now know the cause. Someone set off some sort of pyrotechnical smoke device, some sort of firework, at a gender reveal party. That sparked the fire that spread north to the Yucaipa Ridge and is now threatening these communities. The extreme heat and low humidity is adding to the challenge. Residents tell us they've been up all night watching the fire, hoping it would spare their homes.
These gender reveal parties aren't just hurting people, but they're killing the environment. A recent 20,000-acre fire in California was instigated by a smoke-generating pyrotechnic device that was meant to reveal the gender of an expecting mother's unborn child. The smoke bomb caught flame to the 4-foot-tall grasses at El Dorado Ranch Park and soon grew out of control. Captain Bennett Malloy of the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection spoke on the matter, saying, quote, "I can't speak on their behalf, but personally I can only imagine how terrible they have to feel for a lot of reasons. We here at the Timeline like to rip on Emerson smokers because we don't know any of them personally, but we take pride in the fact that with all the cigarettes and weed Emerson students never managed to light, the common has never caught on fire. But you get one Karen and you get one goddamn blue cake in there, and the entire West Coast burns up. And they're really struggling in California, folks. In conclusion, I've never been to a gender reveal party, nor do I know the joys of having a child, nor will I ever. But I do have a feeling they're just as important and as popular as the movie Cats. Coincidentally, they both have resulted in widespread fear and concern. Everyone's been speculating whether the baby is a boy or a girl. Well, let me tell you, the blue balloon definitely went off, and the name of the baby, you guessed it, Joffrey Lannister. And of course, a tremendous impact has been had on the first responders with deadly results.
News as we come on the air here at 4 a.m. and a sad update just into our newsroom minutes ago. A firefighter who was battling the El Dorado fire near Yucaipa has died. The Forest Service just confirming the death, but hasn't provided any other details. Now, the fire itself has burned about 19,000 acres. It is 66% contained. We will continue to follow this story and bring you any new information throughout the morning.
And the firefighters. It's unfortunate that when a firefighter dies combating forest fires, there's hardly any coverage on it, especially versus a cop, and that's as far as I'm going to go with that sentence. But regardless, at the end of the day, there simply isn't anyone or anything more valiant than a firefighter. I fucking love killing strippers in GTA, and I'm dumb enough where I'll admit that on camera. But even when I play Grand Theft Auto, you never mess with a firefighter. Even virtually, you feel morally damned. Speaking of damned, wildfires such as El Dorado have not only had a big impact on living conditions, but also the environment as a whole. Scientists have estimated that wildfires over the past 2 decades have emitted up to 8 billion tons of CO2 per year. And no, I'm not using the word ton the same way film bros describe how many movie posters they have on their wall. I mean ton as in 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. And that multiplied by 32 billion is almost equal to President Lee Pelton's salary. Ooh, that joke. Lee, who's the president of Emerson College. Lee, I'm kidding. Blame the writers of this show for that insensitive joke. I wipe my hands clean of that. I think you should be paid more, buddy. Personal opinion. Moving on. He's not going to see this. What if I said in 2017, only 3 years ago, that we'll see a total of 32.5 billion tons of CO2 being emitted into the atmosphere? That number isn't even half of Jeff Bezos' total net worth. And you'd probably say, Amog, I'm not that surprised. To which I'd say, I feel that. Nonetheless, humans cannot meaningfully comprehend numbers that big, and one of the worst and rather sus factors to consider is that CO2 emissions from most wildfires aren't completely logged when calculating total emissions. This is because wildfires have the ability to make up the damage they cause. This being the case, especially with the fires this year, I'm certainly not looking forward to the total amount of emissions for this blessed year of 2020. Another severe side effect caused by wildfires is the release of aerosol particles into the atmosphere. Now, Amog, I've heard of aerosols before, but I don't exactly know what it means, and sometimes I like to pretend I do. Well, my friend, it's okay. It's not a brand of men's shaving cream. I've made that mistake. I'm actually even dumber than I seem on camera. Aerosols are actually a specific type of gas that's emitted into the atmosphere. Not all are objectively bad, though. Common elements such as fog, mist, and dust are all frequently seen as types of aerosols. But on the other hand, anthropogenic aerosols are an entirely different story. The release of these dangerous pollutants such as black carbon leads to further heating of the Earth's atmosphere. These aerosols will affect the albedo, not libido, you horny college bastards. So albedo describes the atmosphere's ability to reflect solar radiation, creating a cooler climate. Therefore, when the Earth's albedo is negatively affected by aerosols, more radiation is absorbed into the atmosphere, leading to hotter climates, therefore more wildfires. Climate change, folks. It's a dangerous cycle, folks. I said it, then the scientists said it, then Greta said it, but no one ever listened. All this being said, it would be simply wrong to say that all fires, no matter the scope, have only negative effects on the planet. After all, most wildfires are a natural part of the carbon cycle, and sometimes, no matter what precautions we take, they simply cannot be stopped. Smokey the Bear, I'm speaking directly to you, kid. You were a little bit before my time, but that's okay, because most people understand you, and know you, apparently. I'm sorry, Smokey, but sometimes we can't prevent forest fires. But yet again, Smokey, I don't think you would want all forest fires to be eliminated anyway. You wouldn't then be famous. And also, some ecosystem, including yours, pal, depend on periodic fires that promote plant and wildlife diversity. Without these fires that date back to the Earth's beginning, there would be no room for different kinds of organisms to survive. Wildfires also clear the forest floor of accumulated plant and animal debris. This helps prevent even larger wildfires. With the strong presence of climate change having such a severe effect on the entire world, it often comes to mind, hey, what can we do to help? Are we doing enough, as kids our age? And I know kids our age who have given up on eating meat or buying from thrift stores, or they meaninglessly only post on their Instagram stories. All forms of activism, some more tangible than others. In the end of the day, I know so many kids who just do that. I know at the end of the day, I think it's good we're doing our best to stay positive, and I know why. We've all been educated for years now. Enjoy this connection to one woman we all know and love.
Get connected for free with Education Connection. Get connected for free with Education Connection.
In the words of definitely closeted Vice President Mike Pence, the climate is changing. Did you see the debate, guys? Did you see the fly? That fly is like famous now. We, the American people, for the most part, agree that climate change is a major issue. And I want to show you a video of an asshole senator who will be dead when we all live in the hellscape he helped create.
In case we have forgotten, because we keep hearing that 2014 has been the warmest year on record, I asked the chair, you know what this is? It's a snowball. And that's just from outside here. So here, Mr. President, catch this.
Climate change is rapidly escalating, and assholes like that are just not helping at all. A major contributor to this greenhouse gas effect is when energy from the sun warms the Earth, but instead of radiation being released, greenhouse gases actually get trapped in. Greenhouse gases such as CO2 and methane hold the radiative energy in the Earth's atmosphere, slowly increasing global temperatures. The U.S. Energy Information Administration explains that, quote, this imbalance between greenhouse gas emissions and the ability for natural processes to absorb these emissions has resulted in a continued increase in atmospheric concentrations of greenhouse gases. Concentrations of CO2 in the atmosphere have increased about 40% since the mid-1800s. So, who is responsible for unleashing an astronomical quantity of heat-trapping pollutants in the air?
Vice President Pence, do you believe that climate change poses an existential threat?
As I said, Susan, the climate is changing. We'll follow the science. But
so it's totally a fucking direct to Joe DeViti on like a Chipotle run or something. Michaela, you know what I'm talking about. Joe's a gassy boy. Our talented Michaela's our talented executive producer, everybody. If you know Joe DeViti or not, Emerson or not, spread the rumor that Joe DeViti of Emerson College farts after each Chipotle. Like go up to him in real life, and if he asks you like where you heard it from, just say like from a friend or something. Don't mention this show. Anyway, so despite Joe being a major contributor to greenhouse gases, he is not in fact the prime source of the gas emissions. In fact, according to a CDP Carbon Majors report, just 100 companies have been the source of more than 70% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions since 1988. Further, in that same period, only 25 corporations and state-owned industries were responsible for half of global emissions. Based on this report, we can draw conclusions that individuals are statistically blameless. That means the average blue-collar working Joe like me is not at fault. That does not mean that living a sustainable lifestyle and the 3 R's are a bad thing. Of course not. It just means that in the face of fossil fuel companies like ExxonMobil, Shell, BP, and Chevron pumping out all this shit all the time, it's impossible to compare it to like a normal person just trying to live their life. We are on course for global temperatures to rise by at least 4 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. Now, if you're like me and prefer your dorm room to be at a cool 69 degrees, you know a change of 4 degrees makes a whole lot of difference. You get into that 70 degrees weather, for me at least, and I start wetting the bed from my sweat. And it happens to me. Hopefully y'all can relate, otherwise this joke might not make much sense or make you feel comfortable to watch. Think of my sweaty, soaked mattress, but on a global scale. It wouldn't just be Florida that would experience the rancidness of my body sweat. And trust me, it is rancid. My suit knows. But the entire Earth would. Imagine my stinky, amok funk everywhere, not just in Florida, but in your communities, with your kids, with your families, even at church, at youth group. You can't escape my smell, everyone. Anyway, it amazes me that companies are allowed to do this. You think companies polluting our planet would receive more pushback. Right now is basically like zero pushback. I'm not a numbers guy, but zero isn't a lot, folks. The answer, as it always is money. And you know what? This ain't your grandma's pocket change. I'm talking billions. More specifically, 700 billion schmackaroos in lobbying against climate change regulation bills. If I had that kind of money, folks, I'd be going to NYU right now, and I'm just being honest. In one instance, the American Clean Energy and Security Act lobbied to reduce the bill's chances of passing by 13 percentage points. That's a lot, trust me. The money isn't coming from global warming enthusiasts. Do they exist? Anyway. According to environmental sociologist Dr. Robert Brule of Drexel University, the vast majority of climate lobbying expenditure came from sectors that would be highly impacted by climate legislation. That would be like slipping a professor a 20 to change the attendance policy for my 8 a.m. I just need my beauty sleep is all, folks. This doesn't just happen, y'all. I'm not saying I bribe my teachers. I'm saying that it would be like that, and it would probably be pretty effective considering I've never been late this semester. But I don't do that because I'm just pretending for this joke. Bribe your teachers, folks. It's way easier than you might think. Now, you might be saying, Amog, just because fossil fuel companies are stuffing legislator pockets so they don't vote for climate change regulation bills, that doesn't mean they're really rolling back bills, right? I hope you guys actually had that thought. That's such a long thought. Why, even as a rhetorical question, they 100% do. Not only is nobody stopping these big environmental bullies, no one is, they're actively being allowed to continue their actions through deregulation. Like, what the fuck, folks? So what do? Do we just plant a bunch of trees everywhere, post about it on Instagram and the meaningless echo chamber, call it a day? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. According to Icky Ludlong, department head of horticultural sciences at the University of Bonn, quote, "You have to cut emissions. There's just no way around it, and planting trees is not going to be a solution for this." Well, dude's name I just terribly butchered. I'm so sorry. What do? We are facing a crisis in the hands of conservative, corporate, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant motherfuckers that will likely be preoccupied with being on life support before the environmental catastrophe which they have created take down the world around us and around me. It is time for the youth of America to take control of their future. It is time for us to vote for leaders and propositions that are environmentally friendly and won't instigate a snowball fight. While we're all straight chilling up here in Boston with our smartphones and clean water and heating like bougie motherfuckers, while we're all thirsty for sexy nudes, there are hundreds of millions of rural folks throughout the world who are thirsty for actual water. For example, people in Nepal rely on the Himalayas for water. Because of glacial melting, villagers are losing their only source of water. No one, not even megacorp Amazon, even on Prime Day, can ship them polar seltzer to help. Indigenous people in the Arctic region also rely on Koch's polar bear and friends to support their local economy and be the basis of their culture and social identity. That's like taking The Notebook away from Ryan Gosling. And what does that leave him as? On par with the same guy who produced the shit Green Lantern movie, which essentially set DC Cinema Universe back. Here at home, Indigenous groups are banding together with grassroots coalition to regally slow down the construction of oil and gas pipelines going right through their homes. Someday, some way, they'll get you too, you oil baron, RuPaul. He fracks. Native Americans make up 2% of the country's total population, which amounts to 6.8 million people. Indigenous Peoples Day honor the past, present, and future of Native peoples in the U.S. on October 12th this year. But the day only started being an alternative to Columbus Day since 1977. And even then, in 2020, only 14 states officially recognize Indigenous Peoples Day. So, from the timeline to Indigenous people, we see you and we hate Columbus too. From California fires to dying polar bears to climate change that's happening right now, conservative corporate white Anglo-Saxon Protestant people like Lex Luthor over here won't do shit about it. Motherfuckers like Columbus die and then first graders jack off to him in the first grade. So fuck Lex Luthor, fuck Columbus, love the timeline. This has been the second episode of The Timeline. Please don't take what I say too seriously, folks. I'm just fucking around. This is a comedy show. Have a good night, Boston.